Double Portion, Part 2. The final leg of your epic journey from Egypt to Galilee passes quickly and without incident. The 2 donkeys are willing bearers of your few possessions and your 3 children. Joseph and Yeshua water the animals at the spring outside of Nain, while Yaakov and Miriam spend their surplus energy on a game of touch. You strike up a conversation with a friendly vendor, and she sells you some delicious fig and raisin cakes to fuel your family on the final stretch to Nazareth. The low-riding sun catches you in the eyes on your final ascent into your destination town. Joseph brings the donkeys to a halt and slides the children to the ground. "Come, children," he says. "We're about to arrive in our new hometown. We must all walk in together." "Oh, Dad," they protest in chorus. No arguments," he urges, as he straightens Yaakov's shirt. "Besides, the donkeys are getting tired." Yeshua quietly tugs on your skirt. You bend lower to give him your ear. "Mommy, this town is called Nazareth, isn't it?" he asks. "Yes, my boy," you reply. "It's the town where Daddy and I grew up." "Are you nervous of coming home?" he whispers in your ear. "I was," you reply, as you contemplate the otherworldly depth of wisdom in his lively green eyes. "But Yahweh has blessed me with shalom, with peace." Yaakov and Miriam scurry around behind you, and each takes a handful of your skirt. "Yes," muses Joseph as he joins the conversation, "and now may he grant us favor too." Your family stands motionless for a few moments. 2 donkeys, a father and a mother, and their 3 children gathered round. All that is precious to you captured in a moment. Yeshua breaks the silence. "He shall be called a Nazarene." "What's that?" asks Joseph. "He shall be called a Nazarene." It's a verse that Uncle Eliakim read from the scroll of the prophets just before we left Egypt. Your heart leaps inside of you as you lift your eyes to meet Joseph's. You're both overtaken by emotion, and you begin to giggle. Neither of you had recalled Eliakim's reading, yet Yeshua had carried it in his heart. It was the Almighty's comfort and consolation for you before you even knew that he would direct you to return to this town. Joseph leads your small family up the narrow path into town. Several folk pass you by, but no one seems to recognize you. As you wind through the streets in the warm afternoon sun, the sights, the sounds, and the smells of home bring a flood of emotion to your heart. This is home. It always has been, and until this moment, you never realized just how much you had missed it. As your pace slows and the traffic grows thicker, you notice a few lingering glances, and you are certain that you've detected a few whispers as people exit your peripheral vision. It's beginning to dawn on them that Mary and Joseph have returned. Your stomach flutters. Yaakov and Miriam cling to you with renewed commitment. "Mary?" a familiar voice calls out. You turn to see who it is. "Mary, is that you?" A bubble of delight rushes upward as your eyes meet. She too erupts into a broad smile, flings her arms wide open, and charges at you from across the street. It is Joanna, your best friend, the only person in Nazareth who did not turn against you and Joseph after the pregnancy. Your bodies collide, and her embrace offers you the comfort of a sturdy house in a strong storm. "Oh, Mary, I cannot believe it's you!" Her elated cries are muffled by your clothes. "Let me see what the years have worked," she says as she holds you at arm's length. As she studies you, you study her. She has a little more weight on her, but it sits very well. Her thoughtfully styled hair is highlighted by 1 or 2 wisps of grey, and her ever-present smile has begun to mark the edges of her eyes. Her clothing suggests that she has married an established man, and her eyes still sparkle with green fire. They remind you of Yeshua's eyes. "Look at you," she concludes. "My friend is all grown up, and somehow even more beautiful." Turning to the children, she exclaims, "And who are these?" They smile coyly, and Miriam attempts to hide behind Yaakov. "These are our 3 precious treasures you offer. Miriam, our youngest, Yaakov, our little soldier, and Yeshua, our big boy." "Oh, she looks just like you," Joanna announces. "And Yaakov is Joseph's son for certain." She pauses at Yeshua. Nobody has ever spoken it, but he bears no resemblance to Joseph at all. A long moment passes before she finds words. "Those eyes! Where did you get such beautiful green eyes? They're wonderful," she proclaims, her face now aglow with joy. "And we are so glad that Joseph has returned," she concludes in a manner befitting a married Jewish girl speaking in the presence of a married Jewish man. "Come," she announces. "You must come to my home for dinner. You all look exhausted. Where have you travelled from?" "Egypt," pipes Yeshua. Stunned disbelief washes over her face. "Egypt? But that's a month's journey for a family on foot." Joseph smiles in reply, reserving his first word for a later moment. "Well, we've no time to waste," she decides. "Let us be on our way." A small crowd is gathering, encouraged, no doubt, by Joanna's effervescent display of affection. You see many familiar faces. Some smile, some wave, and 1 or 2 mouth the words, "Welcome home." But Joanna is the only one bold enough to greet you. And even she, for a brief moment, had to suppress an expression which the others don't even try to hide. It flashed across her face as she inspected Yeshua. It was the cold light of suspicion, the silent query. Could he be the son of another man? But it passed quickly. On many others, though, it had lingered, settled, and then bloomed into the unmistakable countenance of judgment, derision, and scorn. As you make your way towards her home, your soul cowers under the weight of their contempt. Gabriel's visit of last night seems like it was so very long ago. But Joanna is Yahweh's blessing to you in this moment, a warm blanket to keep out the biting wind, a friend in a time of need. Nazareth is not very large, and nor is it very opulent. A town of flat-roofed homes for working folk, artisans, farmers, and a few merchants. It is a suitable place for a carpenter and his wife to raise a family. But as you follow in the wake of Joanna's unwavering stream of speech, you realize that she's leading you to the wealthier part of town, if there is such a place in Nazareth. To your surprise, she draws to a halt outside the entrance of the home of the leader of the synagogue, the finest piece of real estate that this humble town has to offer. Well, she beams as she pivots on her heel and turns to face the five of you. Welcome to my home. Joanna, the words fall from your mouth like mist. I never realized. The Almighty has been so gracious to me. I never would have hoped for such a thing. But Menachem ben Levi chose me. She blushes with genuine wonder. And, well, he came with some particular benefits. The moment hangs suspended in the air. An icy fog creeps over your brow. If any single person's opinion of Joseph and of you holds the power of Caesar's thumb over your future in Nazareth, it is the opinion of the leader of the synagogue. You reach for Joseph's hand. Where are my manners? Chimes Joanna. You can't stand out here all day. Come inside. While you're filing through the front door, Joanna calls over her shoulder, Joseph, I will call the servants to care for the donkeys. She leans back inside the door and yells, Jonah! Leaving your ears ringing. Instantaneously, a slender man with a shiny head appears and hastens toward her. Jonah, take the 2 donkeys to the stable and feed and water them. Also, tell Arya that I want to see her. Jonah disappears as your eyes wander around the house. It isn't a palace, but it's not a hovel either. The ceilings are high and the rooms are airy. You catch yourself wishing that you had caught the eye of Menachem ben Levi. But immediately you put the thought aside with a prayer to the Almighty. Come, Joanna encourages you. Before I take care of your comfort, there is someone special I would like you to meet. Joanna turns towards your family. The flicker of sober pain which she had been hiding in the corners of her eyes has, for this moment, covered her entire countenance. I'm going to introduce you to my son, Matthew. But you must know that he is not like other children. He was born different. He can't stand and he cannot talk, but he loves other children, if it doesn't seem like he does. Miriam throws a nervous glance at Yaakov, and Yeshua puts a comforting hand on her shoulder. He speaks up. Take us to him. We love other children too. Then, looking at his sister, he finishes, Hey Miriam. She nods gently, encouraged by her big brother's words. Joanna straightens up and leads you down a passage. The children are in front and Joseph walks alongside of you. She turns into a room on her right, and the children disappear in after her. As you enter the room, you are struck by its elegance. There are high windows on 3 sides, all of them covered by whimsical drapes dancing on the breeze. In the middle of the room stands a large bed with low, pretty wooden rails all round. On the bed lies a little boy, curled into a tight, fetal ball. His back is turned towards you, but by his size, you estimate he is likely about 2 years old. Joanna walks around the bed so that Matthew can see her. Children, she announces, this is my precious son, Matthew. We will be celebrating his 6th birthday next week. And then to her son, Matthew, I brought you some friends. Joanna motions with her hand and the children join her. As you walk around the bed, you can feel the fracture spreading up your heart. Matthew is palsied. His limbs are emaciated. His atrophied muscles have pulled his hands, legs and back into a stoic parody of a boy. Apart from his intelligent eyes, nothing is as it ought to be. Yaakov keeps his distance, and Miriam slinks into his shadow. You choose to avoid Joanna's gaze for fear that you may collapse with her in anguish. But Yeshua walks up to the cot side and crouches down so that he is eye to eye with Matthew. He reaches through the railing with his left hand and touches Matthew's cheek. He then lifts his right hand and touches his own. Matthew smiles and gurgles. The moment is filled with sparkling light. But then, out of nowhere, Yeshua pulls a funny face, sticks out his tongue, and lets out a loud "Wah!" You are stunned cold. But Matthew begins to howl with laughter. Miriam joins, followed by Yaakov, and then everyone else in the room. Joanna is overcome with great, shuddering waves of joy. You also let yourself join the laughter, satisfied that she was not offended by Yeshua. You watch as the other two join, Yeshua in the cot side fun. Joanna crosses over to you and whispers, I think Matthew has new friends now. May I offer you and Joseph a drink? Yes, please, you reply. Joseph smiles and dips his head. You all turn to leave the room, now filled with joy and laughter. As you enter the passage and turn to the left, Joanna almost collides with Menachem. Darling, I'm so glad you're home, she exclaims. Look who's come back to Nazareth. Yes, I see, he bites. I came as soon as I heard. He's speaking to Joanna, but he is glaring at Joseph. We need to talk in private. Shocked at his tone, Joanna retorts, But honey, we have guests. He responds by redirecting the glare at her. Submitting, she turns to you. She is visibly shaken. I must apologize. We shan't be long. Please take a seat in the lounge. They turn and head down the passage, leaving you and Joseph stone cold. He reaches out and takes you by the hand. He leans in and whispers, This isn't good. If he excommunicates me, I'll never get work in this town. You nod. Your stomach is sick with nerves. In a haze, you find your way to the lounge. You perch yourself on the edge of a chair like a Greek statue. Joseph paces, leaving little flakes of dry mud here and there. The muffled sound of an argument comes drifting into the room. It goes on for some time, rising and falling in intensity. A servant brings in drinks on a tray. You take one, but you don't drink it. Joseph declines. Yaakov and Miriam come tumbling into the room, giggling. Joseph hushes them gently, and they join you on the chair. They're happy for the refreshing drinks. After some time, Yeshua arrives. He discerns the tension, and then he glances back over his shoulder. Slowly, he turns his face to you again, and its smile works its way across his countenance. He skips over to you, grabs your cheeks, beams at you, and then lands a great smack of a kiss on your lips, as is his habit. Mummy, double portion, he says. It will all be okay. No sooner has he spoken than a bone-chilling scream comes tearing through the house. Your heart rushes up into your throat. Everyone's attention snaps toward the passage. Joseph takes 3 steps towards the door. "Matthew!" Another scream enters. "Yeshua!" you gasp. "What have you done?" "Double portion, Mama," he smiles. "Matthew! Matthew! What happened to you?" You hear Joanna and Menachem's voices mingle together, along with the laughter of a child. "Joseph! Mary! Come quickly!" It's Menachem's voice which summons you. You both tear down the passage as fast as you are able. You rush through the door to the child's bedroom, and you are all arrested by the sight before you. There, in broad daylight, stands your old friend, her rabbi husband, and, most impossibly, a healthy, upright, giggling 6-year-old Matthew. Joseph rushes towards them, followed by your 2 youngest. Yeshua gently restrains you by the hand. You divert your gaze and look into his emerald eyes. He flashes a smile, and in a whisper meant only for you, he says, "You see, Mama, a double portion of blessing for you."